Yeah, let's go. Good.
All right, this is going to be public meeting item number 3 in your green packet. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-5095, block 515, lot 25, 155 Wooster Street in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District, a classical revival style store and loft building designed by George F. Pelham and built in 1897 to 98. This is an application to renew and amend a master plan governing the future installation of painted wall signs. This was read into the record on April 29th and is being presented for the first time today.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Jared and also the preservation staff. So as Sarah said, this is 155 Wooster Street with a lot line that faces onto West Houston Street. 3 years ago, the commission approved an application for 3 years for a painted wall sign with certain criteria. The criteria is in the first page in front of you. The application actually, they installed 6 signs, and those will be shown to you. And so now they're back to renew it for a 5-year term, and with slight modifications to the criteria. The applicants will run through that.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Marazzi. I'm from the law firm Slater.
Hearing open, please. Motion second. Thanks. Name on the record. You already say it. Go ahead.
My name is Stephanie Marazzi from the law firm Slater and Beckerman. I represent the owner of 155 Wooster Street. And as Jared said, 3 years ago, we came before you in an application for the first master plan for an advertising sign in the city. And it was for a 3-year term. It just expired, so we're back before you for a renewal and a slight modification to some of the criteria that we were granted. As Jared said, there were a total of 5 signs approved under the master plan. Those are the first few signs in your packets. They include, this was not one of the signs that was, this is the first sign in your packet, and this was actually approved, but not under the criteria of the master plan, although we do an analysis showing how it would fit under the master plan. Let me pull out some of the examples that were approved. We have a Johnny Walker sign, and each board goes through how the signs meet the criteria with an analysis of the text and image coverage, the colors, and the photorealism. So these are just a few examples of what were approved. We would also point out that when we met with the community board and when we spoke to Landmarks, the feedback was very positive. The community board called this sign out as one of the most attractive signs in the city, and in their resolution even noted that it was attractive and stylish, and voted to renew the existing criteria. So I'd like to just walk you through the slight tweaks to the criteria, which are on the chart.
Hold on.
Down boys, somebody.
Should I continue? Which are on the chart on the first page of your packet. So the sign will remain at the same size, 36 feet in width by 41 feet in height. We will continue to request a background composed of 2 colors, although we'd like to clarify that a pattern would be permitted. This was in our initial application and was not memorialized. We would continue to provide a border around the sign. And one of the changes we're requesting is that photorealism be permitted. This is in line with some other master plan applications that have been approved recently, I think in the last year or two, for such as 305 Canal Street and 60 Grand. For those signs, photorealism was permitted at a reduced coverage, and that's what we're asking for here. Photorealism provided that the text and image doesn't exceed 40% of the surface area of the sign. And what we're asking for is actually less than what was granted for 305 Canal and 60 Grand. Another change we'd like is 5 colors per ad, which is an increase from 4 colors, which was approved under the previous plan. This is other than black and white, with various shades within those colors allowed, and also minor accents and highlights in alternate colors allowed as well. We'd like text and image coverage of 60% of the sign, of the surface area of the sign, which is an increase from 50% of the surface area of the sign. We'd continue to request the ability to paint the sign black or white with a border in between campaigns when there is no copy up. And we are requesting a 5-year term, which is an increase from the 3-year term previously approved. So those are the changes.
Can I go over some examples
Yes.
of which would?
Yes. So, let me see. So I could draw your attention to the Converse example, which is in your packets. This, I think, is a good example of what we would be requesting in terms of a pattern background with two colors. Well, actually, this was only one color because it's green with minor shades of green and a pattern background. This is 56%, the text and image, consisting of the text and the image, is 56% of the surface area of the sign, which doesn't exceed 60. So that would be, this is the like a kind of image that would exceed what was previously approved, but meets the new criteria.
Because of the size of the image.
Because of the size of
It's
the,
over 50%.
because it's 56.65%, right? It's,
What percent, what?
oh, it's the, they measure the area occupied by text and image. And under the previous criteria, that area could not exceed 50% of the surface area of the sign.
How do we say that that's less than 50% of the sign?
Well,
Not counting the black part?
I didn't measure it, but they
I mean, it's
did
clear
it-
on more.
I guess the part that's gray is considered the part that's measured, right?
exactly.
Right.
So
All the
this
green
this
part
negative
is not
space, the negative space that's white is not considered part of the text or image.
measured. Keep on going.
Go ahead.
Okay.
And you have a version of that in color, I take it.
This is color. This
No,
is
I
green.
mean, is in the, using all the colors that you're allowed to use under the new.
We do have some images that, here's one. This is a Max Azria sign, 5 colors, blue, pink, tan, yellow, and green. So that's something that would be permitted under the criteria we're requesting, but not under the old criteria.
And what's the kind of photorealist version of what's currently permitted?
I think this would be the photorealism, because,
But the version that's currently permitted, this is 55%, something, I can't really see it.
right, this is 40%. So since this is a photorealistic image, it would be restricted to 40% surface area of the sign, and this is just under 40%.
So, and what's the current rule?
The current rule is no photorealism permitted at all.
And there's no border on that one, is there, or is that
I
flag
think
considered a
this
border?
is just a rendering
I see.
of a proposed sign, so there would be a black border.
How about Aereo?
Well, the area
No,
is,
Aereo, the next one to your left.
oh, Aereo,
My
okay,
left, you're right.
yes. This one is a sign with 5 colors: magenta, green, red, yellow, and teal. The actual coverage of text and image is 24.2%, and it's got a 2-color background, black and white. And this one also has a bit of a pattern on the sides. So this,
That is what's different about it in terms of it's more colors.
5 colors instead of 4.
But do you have one that sort of, where it takes it to the extreme of whatever proposed change is?
Yeah.
Let me see. I think this one might have both colors and the increased text and image coverage. This is 58.38% text and image coverage with 5 colors, so it has both the colors and the coverage. Red, orange, green, blue, and purple, and just below 60% text and image
And
coverage.
the image of the person, that's in, where is that fall within the colors?
Black and white do not count towards the color. Yeah.
But for instance, he could have been red, green, yellow, blue, could have been made up of those 5 colors that you've already selected.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Distracted. Any other questions? Okay, is that completed, the presentation? Okay, thank you. We'll go to testimony. Barbara Zay.
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. This building's master plan for painted wall signs is already fairly flexible, offering the applicant an expedited route to getting projects approved. In general, rules pertaining to painted wall signs require the use of a limited color palette and uniform background colors in the spirit of historic painted wall signs. HDC asks that these rules and the building's master plan be respected and upheld. Thank you.
Okay, other testimony? Okay, want to respond to, anything more to say based on the testimony?
So I'd just like to say that,
Yeah.
the community board is very happy with the signs.
Yeah, we don't
that
have their
used.
resolution, but they adopted approval, is that what you're saying? But it's not been sent to
They
us.
voted to approve
Yeah.
a renewal of the existing criteria, but did not vote to approve an amendment to the criteria.
Yeah,
No.
They voted
Okay.
down. They said no to the amendment.
Well, it's a two-pronged application, both a renewal and an amendment.
So they voted to renew the current.
Yes.
Can you explain why you need to change the rules?
Yeah, we need a little more flexibility for the advertisers because they find it extremely difficult to operate within these bounds. So I think the consensus, they've rented it 6 times in 3 years.
Well, but how long is the ad?
For ads that are from 1 to 3 months each. So it's not the entire time.
So they've been empty, actually. Is that the answer, though? They've been empty?
Yeah, it has been empty.
How does that compare with any other areas in New York City?
Hmm?
I can't speak from experience on that, but I believe my client can. He's here and he is familiar with the sign industry.
Okay, up in the front, put your name on the record, please. Just state it for the record, that's all,
Okay.
and then,
Albert Cohen.
yeah.
First of all, thank you
Mhm.
for working with us in the past. I think we did something that was very different, and you trusted us, and I believe we acted very responsible, and in the past 3 years was something that, while we had certain difficulties with some of the advertisers because of the limitations, obviously they're not used to limitations at all, it was something that we think was really a step in the right direction and really helpful to us. At the same time, we are looking to tweak it a little bit. The 4 to 5 colors, that additional color just gives us a little bit more flexibility as opposed to, so it gives us a little bit more flexibility. With regards to the occupancy, on average, I would say your typical billboard, first of all, is probably occupied, I want to say probably around 85% of the time, which means there's probably 2 months vacant a year. The other thing is, the reason why you have that higher occupancy rate with a regular billboard is because they create a vinyl and they just put it up and you don't have that expense. There's a huge expense in painting these signs, and that also is factored into the decision.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, done. Michael, discussion, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. I think that there's a list of things being asked for. I think that extending the term is a good idea. I think that the program is successful. I think it's in Landmark's goal, Landmark's interest to make it easy for this to happen, and it's certainly consistent with the historic quality of these signs that they would change over time, and I think it's fine to have it extend out. I certainly haven't heard from staff or anybody else that there was a problem with the implementation, so I see no reason not to. Regarding the graphic requests, I think that photorealism would be okay for me, because I think photorealism is counterbalanced by the fact that it is hand-painted, and I think that would be something that I could feel comfortable with. However, I think that the addition of the colors and the coverage would be a mistake. I think that the reduced coverage is one of the qualities that makes the thing not look like an advertisement from a magazine, that there's a decent amount of empty space that is uniformly rendered. And I also think that the number of colors, it just gets to, once you go to 5, I think there's just no you're not posing any practical limitation, which is going to just, for the tasteful for the tastefully designed sign, it wouldn't be a problem, but I think you can't control that, and if we're trying to impose some kind of streamlined process, I think it's fair to try to limit that so that it doesn't get schlocky looking.
Yeah, I think I agree with those comments. The photorealism, the first part of the comments, I absolutely do think we should extend the term because it's been very successful and it's a great way to not have to have the owner keep coming back every time there's a change. With respect to the proposed changes, I'm concerned about the addition of the colors because I am afraid that, it really is possible to completely paint a magazine ad if you have a large enough color palette, and the definition of color is actually all the shades of red or whatever that is. So you can go very far with that. So my concern is that we could get to that level of realism, and not every sign painter is a Rosenquist, so you would end up doing some hacky things. And I'm a little fearful of the photorealism for the same reason. I think it's been successful so far the way it's been depicted because of the limitation on coverage and so on. So if we were going to increase anything, I would say do it very incrementally, like a very small increase. Take a look at how that's working and think about the next one, but this is too big of an increase.
Joan?
I agree with some of those. I think that, I don't think a pattern should be permitted in the back because I think it makes it too complicated. It's one thing to have the shading going out, but not a pattern like we saw on one of these with the dots or whatever it was. And I agree with Michael. I'm okay with photorealism. I also think that 4 colors rather than 5 should be used. And I'm not sure about 50 to 60%. I don't have a terrible time with 60%. And 50, no staff approval for black and white. I agree with that. And I agree with the 5-year term. And I just want to say one thing. Yeah. We were looking at a proposal earlier in Gansevoort Market, and they happened to show that Sephora sign. Yeah. And that is one of the most elegant signs that I have ever seen in this city. And it's so simple. It's nowhere near half this stuff. And it probably sells more Sephora than, so, maybe that's something that you should talk to your advertisers about. Use some of these examples that are so extremely elegant to go for simplicity. Anyway, just a thought.
Michael?
I'm okay with the extended term. I believe, again, like Michael, because these are painted, I'm actually okay with the color change. I would like to maintain 50% of the surface area, however.
Libby?
Those are exactly my thoughts as well.
Okay. Fred?
I don't view the sides of historic buildings and historic districts as billboards. I just don't, and I wouldn't change a thing. Honestly, I think it's already the way it ought to be, and I wouldn't change anything except for the 5-year term is fine.
Extension. So where are we? I wasn't keeping score.
I think that we have about 6 for photorealism as long as it's limited to the 4 colors and no patterned background, and 5 years is okay. So.
Want to do that? Close the hearing, please. Motion second. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding 155 Wooster Street in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District, the application is to renew and amend a master plan governing the future installation of painted wall signs. I recommend approval with modifications. Finding that the painted wall signs are a traditional method of advertising that was historically found in this historic district and on this building, typically on plain secondary facades, with exposed common brick masonry, that the proposed master plan will prescribe the placement of the wall sign on the secondary facade pulled back from the edge of the primary facade, with the border around the sign without obscuring or causing damage to any significant architectural features of the building, and is in keeping with the location of painted signs traditionally found on secondary facades on commercial buildings within this historic district, and that the proposed master plan will permit a painted, non-illuminated wall sign that covers 20% of the visible wall surface of 155 Worcester Street, a coverage percentage that is consistent with prior commission approvals. I further recommend that the total image and text coverage be 50% or less, that the signs feature no patterned backgrounds, and that they are limited to 4 colors. However, photorealistic images would be permitted under these conditions.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approved. Thank you. Okay.